Hey everybody, and thanks for joining us here at the Security Token Academy. I am, of course, Adam Chapnick, and we are talking today about the future of the security token industry with none other than the one, the only, Gregory Keough, CEO of Finova Financial. So Greg, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Adam. Great to be here.
It's great having you. So, okay, you're also the founder of something else that's interesting. It's called, you're the chairman as well, I think, of the Institute for Blockchain Innovation, right?
Correct.
So can you tell everybody what that is, what that does?
Yeah, so basically we formed relatively recently the Institute for Blockchain Innovation, or IBI, because that's a little long to get out on the tongue. But with the idea of saying, hey, listen, we think the industry's changing. We're big believers in security tokens and that this is all going to be regulated, but it will be a multi-trillion-dollar industry based on blockchain. And so what we're seeing is part of this is a morphing of kind of the traditional financial world and then kind of the blockchain and crypto space. So we said, let's get together a group, a small group, it's kind of an invite-only type thing, of industry leaders in both fields with the idea of looking at specific things we can do to put like test case forwards of how things could be done and then open sourcing them. And so we've gotten together a bunch of leaders in the initial folks that we've announced, a lot from the security and token space. So we have Jeremy Gardner is involved. He's Awesome Ventures and also did a lot of stuff with Augur. Steve McKeon from the UC Berkeley, good guy. We have from 500 Startups, both Sheil Monhat and Ana Gonzalez. And so looking to kind of put an interesting group of folks together and kind of form like a once-a-year kind of Davos type event, not trying to make it too grandiose or anything, but obviously with the idea of just like getting all these folks in a room and just talking about things and seeing like how the industry is shaping and ideas and a kind of free interchange of ideas. So we're not like building a conference, we're not doing all these other things. It's very kind of specific and focused, but the takeaways are actionable items, so we can have test cases of how blockchain and crypto can impact the real world in the security token framework.
Interesting. And so when you say test cases, are you talking about things that have already happened, or is it sort of models of what could happen?
So I think it's models of looking at interesting things of how like you could combine like kind of traditional assets and the tokenization of those assets, whether it could be securities, it could be physical assets, et cetera, and then putting a framework together, the way that could work, actually doing it, right? So there's a test case, and then after it's done, say, okay, if you'd like to follow this, it's open source. Copy it and make it better, take some of it, don't take some of it, et cetera. But the idea is, I think by doing this, we've all seen that regulation and compliance has gotten much more important. And I think that that's one of the things that we've always been mono-focused on is like you have to do it right. And so I think by giving these test cases out to the market in this framework of real actionable things that have been done, it kind of makes it easier, I think, for other people who don't have to spend so much on legal fees, don't have to go through all the compliance and regulation. We're kind of taking some of that burden out, and then letting the community grow. That's kind of the idea.
Amazing, amazing. And have you already had one of your Davoses, or is that yet to
We
happen?
have not. That is up and coming, but not that far out.
Okay.
And again, and it's kind of a referral thing. So if you go to the IBI website, instituteforblockchaininnovation.org. You'll see some of the initial members. We are about to announce many other members, and I'll give you a little sneak peek here. So Trevor from Polymath is coming in.
Great.
We have Jamie from Securitize.
Great.
We even have a more traditional Pensco, the president of Pensco, coming in.
Wow.
So the idea is melding these kind of two worlds together in an open dialogue that then will have a test case with open sourcing of that test case.
Terrific. Well, you'll have to keep us apprised of that, and maybe we'll have a part in that too as we go forward. We'll see.
That'd be great.
So before we do dive into the security token discussion, why don't you give us a little bit of a flavor of Finova? What exactly do you do? How did it get started?
Okay, so I've changed my hat now into the Finova. I'm also the CEO of Finova. And so basically we started the company about 2.5 years ago to solve a simple but big problem. So about 28% of the US population is either or underbanked. And what that means is they have two main challenges. One, they can't get a loan, so they have thin or no credit or maybe poor credit. And then secondarily, if you're in the cash economy and you get paid by check, you can't go to the bank and cash it. You go to a check cashing store and you actually pay 3%. So we said, okay, let's look how we could solve that problem using technology. So Finova basically built a totally digital platform that allows you to get a loan. And the way we do that is the main asset these folks have is a car. So we developed something called a car equity line of credit, works a lot like a home equity line of credit,
Okay,
and allows the person, basically, you can do it all online, digitally, and the same day you can have your cash. So you can kind of unlock that equity in your car, use it for what you need to, and then you get a year to pay back. You can pay back early, and it's been a well-received product. We started in Florida. We are a regulated entity, so we have consumer finance licenses and lending licenses. Now we're in about 7 states, and we're expanding even more, so that's one of our products. And then the second product we have is a prepaid card, a Finova prepaid card. And basically it has an app where you can take a picture, capture the check. It's into your now prepaid card. You can buy things online. But also the second time, we have a lot of folks, the majority of folks who have a loan with us and they pay it off, they generally, because it's so easy, they sometimes want another loan. And so when you come for your second loan, we actually just put the money right on your card. So basically it's an instant loan. So if you look at traditional banks, like if we went to the bank right now.
Not instant.
Yes, it's not going to be instant. There's going to be tons of documentation. It's going to be really clunky, et cetera. And so this seems to really resonate with consumers. People really like it.
Fascinating. Okay, how did you come to that? You're into the car title?
Yeah, so it's kind of like, so prior to Finova, actually was the CEO for a joint venture between MasterCard and Telefonica, and basically running their mobile financial services globally. The idea was to use telephones to bring people into the banking system.
Right.
And so travel around the world there. I have 5 kids in a family that I do like to see.
Only 5?
Yeah, only 5. So I said, hey, why not look to solve this problem closer to home? And that's how I got involved in Finova. But I've basically been in the fintech space, I'm going to date myself here, going back to the internet days. So I had an early internet company in financial services and a couple others that I've been involved in as well.
Wow, interesting. Okay, great. So now we know who you are, how deeply entwined in this, our favorite industry you are. So we want to hear what you think. 2017 was all about the ICOs. You know, people raised a ton of money, and then of course the regulators had something to say about that. So if, in your view, just from where you sit, how is this whole security token industry different from the ICO industry, if there is such a thing?
Yes, I think going back to the ICO, right? So if you look and say, like, well, why was the ICO so popular? You know, and so looking at, and this is how kind of we got into the security token space, obviously, was one, I think it unlocked like an inherent investor demand and interest that nobody had kind of tapped into. And I think people were quite surprised by it. And even venture capitalists, I think, were quite surprised at it.
For sure.
And so, but if you look at it first, it was kind of the total decentralization of ideas, either really good or some really, really bad. The second is you had a frictionless transaction, so very quickly you could invest globally in cryptocurrency to get involved in the project. And third, and perhaps most importantly, there was liquidity, right? So if you look at kind of what I think investors look for, startup investors, for example, they like that process, but generally it takes many, many years. And I think if you look even at the VC industry, the average IPO has went from about 4 years, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago, now it's almost 10.
Or never.
Yeah, or never. Never to get liquid.
Right.
And so for the first time you saw this kind of unleashing of kind of raw capitalism and new technology and this new thing called an ICO, and it just kind of took off. And no matter what everybody tells us, like, it took most people by surprise,
Yes,
right?
for
Most
sure.
more traditional folks. And so one thing, so I thought that was great. You know, I'm a technology guy. I love, finance and innovation. I love like decentralization and democratization of things, right? I think that's great. The one thing I didn't really like at all, though, coming from, Finova, a regulated company, the JV I ran was highly regulated globally, was like, I was very concerned that a lot of these things actually were securities, right? And so obviously anything that's a security has very strict regulation. And now kind of fast forward to today, and I remember at the time when I suggested, like, hey, I think maybe a lot of the stuff is kind of securities that probably should follow some pathways that are SEC compliant. I actually got a lot of hate mail on that idea saying, no, that's a horrible idea. But if you fast forward today, now we've seen you don't hear those voices too much anymore. And so, but I do think that's a good thing, because what you're seeing is kind of the maturation of the industry into what I think is going to be a multi-trillion-dollar industry that is going to fundamentally change Wall Street, capital raising, and many other things.
Yeah, well, we agree, obviously, here at the Security Token Academy. So, okay, now that's the ICO versus the STO. Just for people watching, what's your take on how is the security token industry different from, let's say, the cryptocurrency sort of craze?
Yeah, so I think, there's components and there is overlap.
Sure, right.
With that said, I think that you're getting, it's kind of interesting, to tell you the truth, because you have people who are traditional investors who've heard the cryptocurrency stuff and they kind of are fascinated and interested, but a lot of them are not quite so sure. Yeah. And then they've heard the ICO and they know that one they probably can't touch because it's not regulated, and if you have a fiduciary responsibility for something, you couldn't touch it. And so I think they've heard about the security token and they're like, hey, that's a good sweet spot. With that said, I think a lot of folks have a hard time getting their arms around, like, because it's so new, and that's the exciting thing about it. Like, which projects are better? There's a lot of learning curves still coming up. I do think it's interesting. You're starting to see Goldman Sachs get involved, and a lot of these other big players get involved, and you're seeing money managers saying an allocation should be towards kind of crypto, blockchain type products, right?
Yes.
So that's a major event, I think.
It is huge evolution.
Yeah. So I think that's a trend that we're having been involved in the very early days of the internet, had a technology company that we built up and we sold off, but it's very reminiscent of that, except I think the impact is going to be greater.
Interesting. Okay. So what do you see as the specific benefit of the security token? Like what does it make better?
So I think a couple things. So if you look at the initial reason why there was the Delaware Blockchain Initiative, so the Dole.
Will you say a little bit about that for those who aren't following that?
Yeah. So one of the big to me, the glue that holds the security token industry together is the Delaware Blockchain Initiative. So as you probably know, about 78% of publicly traded companies come from Delaware. Most startups are based in Delaware, VC-backed startups, et cetera. Right. So, and it's got good corporate governance and good business courts, et cetera. So it's a very kind of stable place. Yes. So they came across with the Delaware Blockchain Initiative, and basically what it said is you could tokenize your equity stack and move it onto the blockchain. And the reason they did that was because the share tracking process was not that great, and there's even a case with Dole where I think they said they were doing an issuance of some sort, and I think they said they had 20 million shares, but it turned out they really had 34 million shares outstanding. Ooh. And it wasn't due to them trying to, it was just bad administrative work, right? So you can see a very clear example of how, if in that instance, had that all been on the blockchain, it would have been very transparent and immediately transferable and everything else. So they embraced that. That then allows you to build on top of that, I think, secure, using the SEC current regulations, products that can be blockchain-based, tokenized, but then eventually traded. And I think that's kind of the glue that holds a lot of this stuff together.
Yeah. When did that opinion come out?
So it was under discussion for a long time, and I think it was. Correct me. I'm not sure of my dates exactly.
I won't hold
it was
last
year, kind of first or second quarter last year. I believe it was actually formally approved.
Yeah, relatively new.
So it's relatively new.
People are kind of grappling with it.
Correct.
But I agree, it's a big deal. So so there are a lot of blockchains that provide a foundation for our industry, let's say. Do you have any feelings about how the different blockchains compare? Which ones will be more relevant? Do you know? Are you plugged into that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we're so early on, and I always go back and. Maybe a bad idea, I don't know, but I'm an old man. So I go back to the early days of the internet and kind of learnings there. And if you look at, you'll remember Netscape, totally revolutionary.
Yeah.
Totally changed everything. Browser-based way to look at the internet. You look at Napster. Yep. But they're not here anymore, right? So a lot of times these things, there's the person who breaks the ice, but then there's a second wave that comes and actually makes it the big company. To me, it's not clear what that is still.
Right.
So I'm not sure which ones are breaking ice, and I'm not sure which ones are the big ones. I do think that it is interesting to note all the things being built on Ethereum, et cetera, and obviously the security tokens is a big part of that. Yeah. But I think there's different applications. I don't think we need a million, though, protocols.
Do you think, you mentioned Ethereum, do you think smart contracts are the sort of, maybe that's a little bit of light in the darkness? Like that is the functionality that will be in the future? So
I think if you look at smart contracts specifically as a security industry, it gives you a lot of benefits, right? So you could say, hey, I'm tokenizing my equity. The equity can be traded, but then in the smart contract, there could be kickers with exactly how you get your dividends. You could pay your dividends much quicker.
All kinds of things,
Exactly. So for example, just a very traditional stock market, if you have monthly dividends, you get an appreciation of 3% off the stock price. But you can pay daily dividends under smart contracts, right? So there's all these very unique things you can do, which also are very transparent, which is a good thing, which I think are huge net advantages to both companies that embrace them as well as investors that are interested in it.
Yeah. So you have some experience in international dealings and finance and stuff, which have all kinds of complications and headaches I can imagine. Obviously, I haven't done it, but I could just from watching it gives me a headache to watch. Do you have a sense of any of the foreign jurisdictions that are probably going to be into security tokens more than others, or the first ones, or the best ones?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's there's lots of very interesting things going on, and there's also lots of interesting approaches. I do think that the United States is one of the largest capital markets in the world. I do think a lot of people look at the United States and the SEC to what they're doing. And if you look at like just the Jobs Act, that's been replicated in about 21 countries.
Oh, interesting.
It does provide a framework that also can be used in accordance with blockchain and et cetera, which I think is interesting. So yeah, I think that there's different variants to it. And I think we're going to have some that are just like totally, not free for all, but like very, very laissez-faire, I guess.
Yes.
And but I do think once you get to real scale, you're going to have regulation. As I say, everything at scale has regulation. There's pretty much no business I can think of that has real scale that doesn't have some level of regulation.
Right, for sure. Okay, so what about the time period? Looking into your crystal ball, the Keough ball, do you see, are we 18 months away? Are we a year, 5 years away from the security token industry sort of becoming major, sort of taking over? What do you think?
Yeah, so I think that the last pieces of the puzzle are being worked out. So obviously you have, the tokenization is on track. You have now the actually ATSs that could trade these things legally. You have those coming on, right? And so I think we're on track to go. I do think that we're probably going to have initially a kind of demand-supply kind of in equilibrium, I would say, because you'll have many exchanges, but there's not a lot to trade, right? And so for an exchange to be, robust, you need to have many things to trade, and then many people want to trade them, right? And so I think that that's something that we're working out now. I do think fast forward 18 to 24 months, you're going to see, much like the ICO, I think you'll see substantial traction. I mean, it's not going to eclipse Wall Street overnight, but it's certainly going to go quicker, I think, than most people think.
18 to 24 months, there it is. Okay, we'll take it. So, one of my favorite things to figure out or to think about is the whole idea of the tokenization of global assets.
Yep.
So, what are your thoughts about that? Real estate has already sort of busted out and started to look like one of the sort of asset classes that's tokenizing, but there's so many others, just from like fine art or, baseball cards, Pokemon cards, whatever. Who knows?
Yeah, there's all sorts of things you can tokenize, right? And that's the kind of cool thing about this, and that's why the opportunity is so large. So I think that you'll see a lot of things being tokenized. And even in the IBI, we're looking to do a couple test cases that are just kind of novel test cases to tokenize them and just show people how it could work. So we've talked about tokenizing a plane, right?
Yeah, sure. Why
That's
not?
something that, it's pretty, you can, the value of it. You could have multiple shareholders of it. I mean, this concept basically already exists in another format, but like to do it as a test case, not to start a business that's going to compete with NetJets, that's not the idea, but showing how it could be done, right?
Okay.
So I think you'll see much more tokenizations of assets, especially, I think one other phenomena we have going on too, certainly in US-based assets, is I think globally, and this is more a macro comment, but I think globally you're going to see a lot of interest in global capital residing in tokenized U.S. assets, especially tokenized U.S. assets that provide yield. Because I think that is kind of the killer app on a global basis for tokenized assets. So tokenized high yield assets, I think there's unlimited demand for that almost.
Wow. Okay, awesome. So what about for the security token industry as a whole? Where do we see that going? How's that going to develop?
So I think you have a lot of the, we're very fortunate that a lot of these guys are involved in the IBI, which we're very grateful for. But you have a lot of cool people doing neat stuff, and there's a lot of coordination going on. And I think the greatest thing about this industry is that there's so much opportunity. It's not the kind of thing like, oh, I don't want to do that because there's a lot of co-opetition, I guess, is that the word there?
Very good.
You know what I'm saying? So and I think that's a good thing because there's so much opportunity early on. It's better to have the folks who are like working on these different initiatives to cooperate, share things, say, okay, we're doing it this way. What are you doing? And there's a lot of that going on right now because that's going to lay the framework. But I do think if you fast forward 10 years, it's basically starting a new financial system, right? So it's quite, at least we believe it's quite exciting, right? And so, and if you look at I always come back to, if you look at who are the investors of the future, right? I'm an old man, so I'm over my prime. You're still a young guy, which is good.
I think we are similar vintage.
But if we look at the millennials, right? They're not interested in owning a share of stock in Ford. I think they've totally transitioned the way they think about investing and also kind of the information transparency they want in investing. And so I think they are going to be the big movers of global capital and investment going forward in these years. And I think they're going to want a framework that's a security token type framework. That's what they're going to want to invest in. And I think you'll see a lot of people migrating to this, maybe by force, because that's what these new generation of investors want. I mean, like, I have kids. My kids, they're not interested in, they don't care what Jamie Dimon says about Bitcoin. They don't care. But they are interested in holding cryptocurrency and trading. So I think that people are grossly underestimating the impact that's going to have on traditional financial services. I mean, they're the clients of the future.
Yeah, the power of the youth.
Yep.
I like it. Okay. Well, Gregory Keough, CEO of Finova Financial, we wish you and everyone at your company a ton of luck. Hope you'll come back and keep us posted. And you can find out more about Finova Financial on their website, finovafinancial.com.